think I'm recording now. All right. If you want to shoot me an email and say, you know, hey, this work exploded at work, this week exploded at work. Can I have 3 more days? I'm fine with that. I will tell you that I cannot let you get too far behind because this class is packed into a short summer. The last week of class, I'm sure Ray already told you, the last week of class, we have built in your candidacy exam. So by building in your candidacy exam, you don't have to like schedule it whenever you're not supposed to be in class. You have the option of doing it whenever you decide to do it. But it's built into your class, so I lose another week there. So it's a short summer. It's a lot of work. Yeah, so I can't let you get too far behind. So I will be on you to keep things in and to keep moving forward with it. But think of it as like gentle, friendly, nagging, you know, like the nun with a ruler, and like just being incessantly over keeping going like that. I've heard great things about you guys. I am so excited to meet you. Maybe get to work with you and see what all your interests are and all of that kind of thing. This is qualitative methods. So I want to ask you, what do you know about qualitative methods?
It's not quantitative methods.
Okay. All right. So I see who the class is already. All right. Okay. So it's not quantitative methods. So if quantitative methods are all the numbers and that kind of stuff, then what does that tell you this has to be?
Well, it's generally associated with interviews. Is what I associate it with.
Interviews, focus groups, case studies.
Soft numbers.
People.
All statistics.
Fuzzy logic.
Perspective. So all numbers are soft numbers if you want to go that way. All right, Pam, what were you saying?
I said people. I
Yeah.
associate it more with people than numbers.
Okay. Hey, what else? I did not think to do this. Before we even dive in, can you go around and like name that's on your screen? I see, like, you know, Pamela Wegener? Okay, but do you go by Pamela or Pam? I don't know that stuff, so go around and let me know what you want to be called. And like I used to tell the kids in the high school, I can call you Toast Sweat if you really want called Toast Sweat, but that's probably not what you want. So tell me what you want called. I can call you whatever you want. All right, so.
Pam is fine. Oh.
Okay. And what context do you work in? Or what context?
I work at a 4-year public university and I'm a director for alumni relations.
Okay, and I'll find out your research interests as we move along. Okay, who's next?
I'm Julie.
Okay.
You can just call me Julie. And I work at a 4-year university and teach English.
Okay. Who's next? I'm writing it all down because, yeah, George. Okay. All right. So George, you have to give me.
I'm a third, so there's lots of Georges in my family.
Okay.
I work for CMU Global Campus Support for Michigan and Ohio.
And you go by George? You don't go like French Rip or?
George or Geo is fine.
Okay.
I'll go. I go by Todd.
I knew there was a weird one in the group. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the weird one. Yeah. And I'm a biology professor at a 2-year college.
Okay. I knew there was somebody that did science ed. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about the OER too.
Yes. All right. Anybody else?
My name's Dan Grigoletti. First time everybody's seeing me. I go by Dan, and I'm a fixed-term faculty at CMU in Computer Science. And just a word, I have not met any of you because I was a cohort 2, and I had a year off, and I had a health issue. So I look forward to working with all of you, and this is going to be quite a trip to get started after, I guess, a year sabbatical for me.
It'll be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Who didn't I talk to yet? Coop.
I go by Coop. Jeff Cooper, but I go by Coop.
Okay.
And until about 3 weeks ago, I worked as the instructional designer and a supervisor of instructional designers and instructors for a oil and gas services company.
Okay, so till 3 weeks ago. So is that a deliberate career change?
No, it was a reduction in force. We continue to reduce the number of people, and learning and development took their hit again. So survived it for 3 years of reductions and finally got caught up in it.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
I have a thought. I just have a thought. All right, Robert.
Robert Norman. I go by Robert, although Dr. Ming started calling me Bob. That was his decision. And I'm the director of distance learning at a 2-year college.
I know you, but
Right.
Bob Robert is my advisee, so I do know a little bit about him. Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, I just go by Sarah. I work in medical education.
Okay, very cool. And Ben.
Yeah, hi. I'm Ben. Also a fixed-term faculty member at Central Michigan University in the Physical Education and Sport Department. Yeah, I've been there about 8 years now.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Okay, that's awesome. All right, so I told you a little of my story. You have a little.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah. Hey, John, you don't have to be here.
I know. I just wanted to introduce myself to the class because they don't know who I am. And
Oh,
they're
okay.
probably like, who's this random guy?
Yeah.
So, hi, everybody. My name's John Willoughby. I'm a paramedic program director in Minneapolis. And I'm with Cohort 1. And I skipped the Ray's class way back when. So now I have to make it up. But in my dissertation proposal, early stages.
He's on the slow roll.
I'm on a very slow program. And, but anyway, like Ray was saying, for that just changing your dissertation, it may happen. So don't get upset about it because you may realize what you're trying to do, you can't do. That happened to me already. So just know that it may happen and power through.
Yes.
That's it.
And we should talk, and I'll commence the emails nagging you from now on. How's that sound?
I do need that.
Okay.
So I was going to email you, but then, so yeah, if you could nag me, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Shoot me an email and we'll talk. Okay. All right. So we're talking about qualitative methods in this class. Everybody does not need to be Bob. That's only one name for me to remember, but it does not help differentiate you from each other. Okay, this is like 9th graders. Okay, this is awesome. No, seriously, it's much more fun when you can have fun with it. Because you'll hate me at some point in the semester, I'm sure. I can't be hated. It takes a lot, but you can. All right, so just to not waste your time, I am going to have meetings. I have that posted in the class. Monday nights after your other one. I figure why ruin 2 nights of you? I mean, if you can block out a little longer time, it doesn't ruin 2 nights of your week to do that. If it is a huge problem for somebody to be on for a block of 2 hours, let me know. We will work something else out. We'll try and do it. There is, as always, there is not an absolute requirement that you attend these sessions. I'll record them. I'll post them. You can watch them on your own time when you're walking or, sitting in the stands while your kids are playing soccer or football or a million others. I've done that. Or driving to work, whatever. There will be a couple, I'll let you know when we're actually going to do like workshop things where I'm going to walk you through how to do things. I think I put that in the email. My brain is fried after this week. I think I put it in the email. So when that's coming up, it might be one that you want to try and schedule in, even if you have difficulty making all the other ones, just for the simple reason that seeing how the software goes and seeing how it works with someone will really help. I don't make you buy anything for this class other than the book. Okay. And seriously, I'm serious. If you did not buy the book yet, any version from 2 to 4, the page numbers change. I may have to figure out chapters for you, but I can make it work. Cresswell is the master of methods, and Almost any of his book versions are pretty good, but they will not let me put a book that is older in. Yeah, Bill. No.
George found a free copy or has a PDF that he was kind of emailing out.
Oh, it's free.
It's not.
So it's just a couple of sections. It's only
no. There, I posted actually section 1 and 2 in there that you can get started with if you don't have a book. You can get the actual book if you want a hard copy for like version 2 or 3, probably for like $6 on eBay.
Yeah, it was $10 on Amazon. It was real cheap.
Yeah. So that'll give you the basics of it, and then I'll supplement with like the Glessner book that I love is $100. It is not worth $100. If somebody's paying for it for you, yes. If you have you have GA hours and all you're paying for is your books and stuff, yeah, I'd make you buy it, but not when it's all coming out of your own pocket. I'm not making you buy it. So I'll supplement with some pieces. I gave you a list. I love books. I love having the book there that I can flip through, even though I'm a totally digital person. So I have given you books in the one list, and I will give you other books as we go along that are really great for what you're working on, because this is a crash course in qual methods. Qual methods is sometimes called interpretive because you're interpreting what people are saying and doing and looking for how these things fit. As George said earlier, it's the soft numbers. I will tell you, I'm a mixed methods person. I have a really big stats background and some papers on stats, and I have some other papers that are totally qualitative methods, case studies, comparative case studies, those kind of things. So I bridge both worlds. So when I say that you can make the numbers pretty much look the way you want to, any way, shape, or form, it depends on how you pick the things that you hold constant and all of that. The numbers give you some guidelines, but statistics can be interpreted as well. A couple things I want to make sure to talk to you about. First of all, the software that I told you in the email to download is vnote.org. Do not buy anything. It is a free download. A friend of mine owns the company, but it's a fantastic piece of software. It's free. You guys get a half an hour of the video that you can share back and forth with the free package. You can use it free forever and ever. If you want more than a half an hour to share with someone, that's when you have to pay. You shouldn't have to pay at all for that. It's really great software. If you would rather, when we get into things, use NVivo, I'm pretty sure we still have, as of last fall, we still had access to NVivo through the school virtual lab. You are welcome to learn it, to figure it out and work with it. I don't work with it. So there are other packages that you can use. I'm open to you using whatever works for you. This is the one that I'm familiar with. This is the one that I'm using even with my undergrads that are working with me. So it's the one I'll show you, give you the idea for it. You're free to experiment. And I won't be mad. You need to have some kind of document resource management software. You can do it free with your Google Drive and have like a table of contacts or something like that. You can use Mendeley, which is free. You can use Zotero, which is free. You can buy EndNote. You can buy ReadCube or Airtable. These are all like PDF management pieces of software.
Is this excuse me, is this the same thing that Dr. Ray was talking about, the graphic organizer stuff?
Probably not. No, this is like all the PDFs that you now have in like 6 folders on your computer that you haven't labeled properly, that you can't find them to cite them, and you have to search through Google Drive and download them again, because this is a strategy that I use most of the time. I am telling you now, if you start building your resources that have all of your PDFs of all the articles in that you're working with, that finding them later on when you need to start writing big papers, and that finding them later on when you start writing your dissertation, will save you immense piles of time.
It is a little bit like what Dr. Ray was saying. he wants us to do a graphic organizer of that. He wants us he wants some kind of organizational method to start orienting all of our research and all of our papers.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, that might be what he said. I thought you were coming to my class. Let me know when you're done. I'll chat with you later. That might be it. If that's the case, you're welcome to do that. Any kind of anything that you have to organize with and to take notes and that kind of thing is going to be beneficial, because I will tell you that having done it the wrong way, this is the right way to do it. having come through with no organizational method, and now I have like 17 copies of the same article on my computer, all of them labeled TS 807111-17. And 2 or 3 of those 17 I've highlighted and written notes on with my with my Cami software or whatever, but I don't know which one of the 17. So when I go to write a paper and I need that paper, I am looking through all 17 of them to figure out which one I put the right notes in. So seriously, time saver. I'm not going to grade you on it, but I'm just telling you right now, that's probably going to be one of the better investments as you go down the road. Because also if you put your citations into it properly, or it puts the citations in for you, there are ways to do your citations within your paper where it prints out your reference list, and you don't have 16 references that you thought were in your paper that aren't anymore, or that you put in your paper and then are not in your references. So it does work. The other thing, let's see. I want to do 2 more things really quickly tonight, and then I will get you kicked out of here because I know that it's already been a long hour with Ray, I'm sure, and he said he made you guys work tonight.
I don't think that's very nice of you to say it was a long hour with Dr. Ray.
He's like my best friend, so I promise I'm not being mean.
It's a good thing you guys are peers, right?
Well, his office is right beside mine, and I think of him as like a really good friend of mine, and I'm sure he thinks of me as the annoying little girl next door, but that's how it goes. All right, so in the past, have you learned how to set your library in Google Scholar so that it hooks to the CMU library and you can like automatically download things and it gets you to the Iliad system? The Iliad is what we called it at Penn State. The documents on demand system here, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we did that in the first semester.
Right. I know they gave it to you, but I am willing to bet that
I'm a no.
some of you may know it and some of you may not.
I Google what I need.
Yeah, I know. I use Google. I'm telling you, when I started, they made me use like Web of Science databases to find all my articles. Google Scholar has become so amazing that 99% of the time, it is the only thing I use. If it's not coming up on there, there's probably not a way that I want. There's not.
Well, I don't even use Google Scholar. I'll just take a sentence, grab a chunk of sentence, put it in quotes, and then search it on Google, and it'll show it from everywhere.
Okay.
The exact document.
Well, if you're trying to quote something, then that's a really great way to do it. If you need to find general articles on things, I'm going to walk you through it really quickly because I saw a couple heads say no. All right. So you should be able to see my Google Scholar screen, correct? I can't see all of you now. So, all right. So on this screen, it gives you, this basic Google Scholar thing here. And on the side where there's little tabs, you can go down to My Library. Nope, I'm wrong. Advanced Search. There's a feature there called Advanced Search. It's really nice, and we need to go to Settings, I'm pretty sure. And then you're going to Settings and then go to Library Links. And once you go to Library Links, you type in Central Michigan and save it. Like check both boxes and then save it. And this gives you then the Michigan CMISH library set there. So let's say that I am working on a project and I am doing genetics. And this is not slanted just because Todd is there. This is what I was doing today. In elementary school, if I could spell it would help. And looking at activity, we'll just look at that. All right, so whenever this comes up for you, see on the side how, I'm going to slide this over. It says like ResearchGate, those ones will come up no matter what, but like find it at CMU. If I wanted this, I can click on that and it will take me in very slowly. I feel like I should always be playing the Jeopardy music or something like that. All right, it will take me into this and it links it through my system so that full text is available, and I can click my PDF and download it. Interactive gives you all the links, download as PDF. So that saves you the step of having to get the DOI, go in and search for it, and then pull it up like that. The other little time saver that you can have is to copy out the DOI for any citation that does not link back to Central Michigan. And hold on, I've got to keep moving things. And inside of the libraries, I laugh because my internet is so slow. I pay for good internet. I am sitting this far away from my router. I'm the only one here. And it is slow. So I apologize for making you wait a little bit. All right, so you can come in here and you can paste the DOI in here. Articles peer reviewed. It can bring them up this way as well. And you can click on it. And if it's not available, if it won't give you full text available, you can click on that and it'll bring up what's called documents on demand. And you can just put in the information, click it, and they will email you the PDF. And I will tell you that the university libraries are amazingly fast. I've had things that they had to send out to another library to get the copy of it, and they've been back 2 days, 3 days. I think the most I've waited was like 4.5 or 5 days before it came through. But sometimes they'll have it to you in a matter of hours. So that is really, really a fantastic turnaround for anything that you don't have that you want. So depending on the specialty that you're in, I'm logging in here. Depending on the specialty that you're in, they may not carry very many journals that you want to quote from, and this will get you the articles without having to never pay for them. Always send them through here. The other thing you can do is under advanced search, or maybe not. Trying to remember where I found it. I have it. Okay, if you click on the little dots there, that's what it was. Whoops, I just did something wrong. Okay, sorry. If you click on the little dots that are right here beside the course reserves, journals, databases across the top, it brings this up. And I find a specific article bookmarked on my computer. Okay, so that anytime that I need to use it, I can come in here and all I have to do is drop in my DOI and it brings it right up for me. Okay, so if you already knew that, great. I'm sure we just reinforced it a little bit for you. And if you didn't already know that, then that's fantastic and I'm glad to help. If you ever have questions about searching, you can't find things, talk to me about keyword searches and keywords, ways to put them in. I like to consider myself a pretty good searcher. So there's that. The other thing, any questions on that?
Oh, no.
Just speak up if you have it. Nah, we're good? Okay, so those are the two things that I think will really help you out a lot. The one thing that I need you to do is just download the software before, I think it's like week 8, something like that. And then I want to walk you through the syllabus and just talk to you about the final project. But I actually have to search for it because, come on, be cooperative. Okay. Not sure why it was dinging like that on it. To bring up my syllabus, hold on. It doesn't like to come up. Everything else will come up, but not this one. Okay. Hang on 1 second, I'm looking. There we go. All right, so I'm going to share the screen again. If you have questions, you need to holler because I am not seeing all your faces. Is it showing? Can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so basically, in this class, you are going to learn some skills. So it's a skill-based class. You're going to learn how to structure interviews. You're going to learn how to do complete observations, and you are going to learn how to use documents as an analysis tool, or as a input for analysis. We are going to learn how to do video coding by looking at a piece of video, because I tend to use a lot of video. And it's a really important skill if you're doing face-to-face anything. If you're doing
Video, what
online,
is video code? What is video coding?
you're going to watch the piece of video, and we will have a set of codes that we pull up that we say, for example, we're looking at collaborative moments, either online or in class, and we want to watch people as they're, let's say we had you on Zoom and you were collaborating. Like, think about your interview. And I wanted to code instances where someone was making a move that they were prompting others to collaborate with them instead of like boxing them out. So what we would do is watch the piece of video, and we would mark every time that somebody is making one of these moves. And then when we look at the video as a whole, we can pull together all these moments where we're looking at collaborative moments, and we can start to make sense of them in the context of what the activity was and the framework that you're using. So, okay. All right, so for the week, when I have tried to put the due dates in there for you and the meetings that we're having for class. When I say individual meetings, this is how it goes. Beginning of the week, like for this one, for week 4, I have in the class at some point, I think in week 3, I have a sign up genius where you can pick your time. I've got a lot of times listed in there. If one of them doesn't work for you, you email me and you say, hey, guess what? I've got something going on at work. I don't have any time any of these are. This is a time that works for me, or this one works for me. And I will say, okay, we'll try to do this one, okay? Some of the time, you know, every now and then I cannot make it work. Like this week, if you wanted to meet anytime during the day, I am in an elementary school collecting data, like from 8 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon every day. I couldn't do it. But most of the time, I can find a time that'll work for you and for me, and we'll make it work. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to shoot me emails on anything. I think I gave you my phone number somewhere in there. You can text me anytime. All right, so we'll do all this stuff down here. We'll get to the analysis, and this is where our workshop-y thing is going to be. I'm going to show you how the video coding works, and then we'll talk a little bit about how that works with your data and the framework that you're looking at and what you're planning on collecting. During weeks 9 to 12, you have a 4-week little chunk there from basically the beginning of July to almost the end, where you are working. I do not have any time scheduled for big group meetings during that time, because if each of you are working on your own project, we could come together and touch base on like this, like I have in the 716, we'll come together and touch base. But as you're all doing different things, there'll be some commonalities on how you're going to structure your research paper and how the analysis is going, but it'll be really individualized. So we'll have that one touch point on 716. I want you to find a time with me during that 4-week period of time that you have a minimum of 2 30-minute meetings with me. We'll block them out, 30 minutes. We're going to talk through what you're doing, how you're doing, what you're doing, the kind of data that you're looking at, trouble that you're having, problems that you're looking at, and we are going to basically individually kind of manage your project that you're working on, okay? Otherwise, it kind of wastes time for people sitting while we work out problems for other people, but that way also you'll get some direct input from me right then and there on what you're working on and how it works, and you can see where my brain's going to help you structure and work through all the data. That's the only way I know how to do it. If you have other suggestions, tell me. Then you have preliminary findings and write-ups. We'll have a little, you'll have a paper due the week after that. You're going to have a little research presentation where you tell everybody about what you did and what you found. And then week 15, which is the last week, which is scheduled for finals, we scheduled that for your candidacy exam. Did Ray talk to you about this? A little bit? Okay. So a candidacy exam, which do not freak out, it is not like a multiple choice test or an essay test or anything like that. They're typically writing exercises, okay? So it's another paper for you to write, but we are required by the Higher Learning Commission to have these benchmarkings as you move through the program. I will say to take it seriously, but not to panic, okay? So you have that time blocked off that you can be in class and doing that. We will allow you a larger time frame. I suggest you do it that week since it's already tied in with class, and you get 2 weeks with nothing to do before you have to go back and start their fall semester. But we will give you basically a 3-week window to get that done. Okay, so we block off that time in class though, so that technically you're in class, even if that's like family vacation week and you're not going to be doing it then. So that's why it's on there, and we don't have a week 16 in the summer. Okay, so during it, I have some points associated with, I have points associated with the class, with all the assignments. I used to do it as zeros, just as them as benchmarks, and then you either turned them in or you didn't turn them in, you did the paper at the end or you didn't do the paper at the end, and that was kind of how I went. But people told me it was demoralizing to have zeros on their thing when they looked at it, so you have point values now. All right. So.
Well, you can just give us hundreds. Just give us A's right up front.
Well, if you do the work that I've heard that you guys do, here I'll set the benchmark high. If you do the work that I have heard that this cohort does, then I will be giving you all hundreds. How's that? All right.
Who's been lying to you?
I'm expecting great things.
I want to know where she's getting the info from.
Me too. It obviously hasn't met George very much, huh?
No, they haven't met me yet.
It all came from Bob, remember?
Yeah.
It's all Bob, right? All Bob.
All right. Hey, I have 2 people in my life. My name's Jennifer, but I have 2 people in my life that call me Jenny. My 5th grade teacher, because there was 3 Jennifers in class, so she called me Jenny because it was Jennifer, Jen, and Jenny, and I was the last one in the alphabet. And a guy I used to work with at Punxsy, he was an English teacher there, maybe 15 years older than me. He's retired now. And he called me Jenny for some reason. To like other people too. I don't know why.
Okay. You'll get used to being called Bob like the rest of us.
Sure. Hey, I gave out stickers for names at a after school event one time with kids, and they all named themselves Bob, and I told them they couldn't do that. They had to differentiate themselves. So then we had Bob, then we had Boob, and we had Booby with an IE, Booby with a Y. And then I had to say that was not appropriate, get a new sticker and do it again. But yeah, so the name Bob really makes me laugh, besides the fact that you guys are pretty funny. Okay, so your final paper, and I quit before I went into that. Your final paper is not in the syllabus. It is actually in the last week in the class. And the final paper, I have some structure in there. I do not want 30 pages to read, okay? This is the end of this. I would like, personally, I would like 8 to 10 with an appendix. By the time you are done, you will have 8 to 10. You're going to have a lit review. You're going to tell me your methods. You're going to have some data samples. You're going to have your summary. It's going to be 8 to 10. I'm not going to be, I think I say in there still that if it's over 10 pages, I'm not reading it, but I really will. Don't panic about that. And I try to get you to stick to like 5 to 7 references. But if you have 30 references and you use them all wisely, I will be fine with that. I just don't want 30 pages of something to try and struggle through because, number one, you don't have time this summer to do the research that would support that kind of work. This is like toe dipping into qualitative methods. So you will have to condense your paper and all of that you're doing to get it done in those 4 weeks. I'm trying to be really realistic in the kind of work that you can do. You can do great work. By the end of the semester, we're going to do one other thing. By the end of the semester, you're going to write up an IRB for the work that you've done, okay? Or the work that you're going to do in the fall with your IIP, which is your individual research project, which is like real research and not classwork. If you've done really great stuff and you think that you want to present it at a conference, we have to have approval from the university in order for you to do that. The people that you work with have to be consented in order to do that. We'll talk about this later on, okay? But just so you know, at the end of the semester, if this is something that yeah, Ben.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought I would just leave the hand there till you had an opening.
Yeah.
Does that mean we need to update like city training or go through all that?
You will have to update city training before you start your IIP in the fall. So I'll go into that next week. It's something that'll happen. It takes about 10 hours, I would say, if you have never done it before. If you've done it before, it'll take you 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, I have no idea what you guys just talked about.
Doesn't matter. I'll talk to you later about it.
Are we doing real research or are we doing fake data like we did in quantitative?
Okay. You are going to do realer research.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like if you want to run if you want to run something in your class and just test it out and like do a little activity and like test with your kids if they and talk to them about it and use that for your class project, that's awesome. That'll work. You're going to do it all ethically. I'm going to talk to you about the ethics of it. You're going to do that anyway, and you don't have to have approval by the university because it's not going to go anywhere. You can't publish it because there are people attached to the data. The city training is training that you have to do in order to be able to do research on real people. So if you're doing a strictly quantitative dissertation and you're pulling research from the internet like you did with Ming, from data sets, you don't have to do usually an IRB that's going to be very extensive at all. They're going to let you do it because the data is not identifiable, people aren't attached to it. But if you do anything that has an interview or a free response question or a reflection, then you need to have permission in order to do that because they need to make sure that you're doing it ethically and you're not coercing them to do it. So if you do something in your class, so Todd does something in his class and it's really fantastic. And he's like, this is so good. I'm going to do it for my dissertation, but I want to present this summer at NARS. Okay, I'm going to put this in for NARS for next year. Then we are going to go back and actually file the IRB he writes up so that he has permission to do so. Okay, and we'll talk more about this. It's not anything you have to worry about right now. It's just that the possibility for you using your data later, not for your dissertation, but for other things, is in the future because the research you're doing now is practice. Your dissertation has to be collected after you submit your proposal and do that later. But you'll have this research experience. You had a little one with Ming. You'll have another one with Ming. And you have a project in the fall. So you get all these experiences so that you're ready to kind of strike out on your own and do the dissertation work later. And just so you know, like you guys are all good with like, have people talked to you about what the dissertation will look like and all of that? You feel pretty good about that? No? Okay, so longer than I meant to be tonight.
Real quick question before you get started on that. So we can't use our IEP on our dissertation?
You can use it to pilot things for your dissertation, but the data you collect will not be able to be used. You'll have to collect fresh data.
Okay. So I need to be careful what I pick for my IEP. Okay.
Not necessarily, because you can do it with one group and be like, oh, that did not work. Okay? So my findings are, there was no findings. This did not work very well. And that's a really good thing to know. Or these research questions did not give me the answers I need. Or this matrix I used for observation was amazing. I'm going to use it for my dissertation. Okay, so all of those things can happen, but the IIP is kind of a testing ground for all of that. So yeah, and your advisor will walk you through. They'll kind of say, yeah, if you want to do your dissertation on that, we need to think of it a different way. So it's not something you have to worry about now. The stuff you do this summer does not have to ever go anywhere else, and you can use it for your dissertation if that's what you end up deciding you want to do. All right, dissertation. This is how I see it happening. You are not writing a traditional 5-chapter dissertation because honestly, I've been out of school for 3.5 years and I'm trying to get my papers published this summer from my dissertation because I had to take 270 pages and chop it into 20 or 30 page articles to ship them out. And by the time I did that, the technology changed. I have to reframe it. I have to write up a new lit review. It takes a long time. You guys are fast tracking everything. We are trying to get you through here and get you out. A lot of really big schools are moving to a non-traditional dissertation, which is what we have. And I will say, this is my interpretation of it. I know a couple other people like to say it a little differently, but this is my interpretation. So you write up this really great study. You have 3 research questions. You collect all this data, and then you write 3 papers. This is research question 1, research question 2, research question 3. You get those all approved by your committee, and you talk about how it arches over all 3, and you pass your dissertation, and you're done. And you have 3 papers ready to go out the door to a journal. Tammy is my first, Tammy, who you've all heard from, because she was the GA this year, is my advisee. We have 1 paper in review right now from her dissertation. We have 1 that needs to lose about 2,000 more words, and then we can send it out. And we have a 3rd one that I think is really going to be actually pretty good, and we're still like fine-tuning that. She's still going to defend on May 10th. She'll walk in August. She'll truly be a 3-year person. But she'll have 3 papers out the door. And when you start interviewing for a promotion, you start interviewing for a different job that you want, having a publication record is immensely important. Immensely important. I know this year I talked to people that are on search committees at other schools, and like little state schools, like in Pennsylvania, little state school like Bloomington or Bloomsburg. In Pennsylvania, maybe like 8,000 kids, state school, teacher school mostly. The people that went in for the interviews, the campus interviews happened for the girl is a friend of mine that got the job, and she has like 3 publications that are peer reviewed, 2 book chapters, like things that I didn't even have 3 years ago. So the market's tough. If you decide you want to move into higher education and like have a tenure track job, we're going to have you like kicking butt when you get out of here. And that's my goal. Okay. Because
Okay, tell me about the project stuff though.
The project stuff?
Yeah, is that as good?
The what stuff?
They said that you could do a project for instead of.
It depends on what you want to do. So let's say that you are working in business and you're a project manager and you want to move up and have the next level of job. Okay, you want to be, move up in the ranks. So maybe you're going to do like an enormous kind of, like maybe not enormous, this big SWOT analysis of the technology needs of your institution, and you're going to make recommendations and have design principles for how they should be doing their online training for that. Okay, that's a really valuable document for your business. I would consider that a white paper, which is like a paper that you kind of self-publish almost and put out there. And that would be something that your committee would work on. We are really open to a lot of different formats.
Okay, I didn't hear anyone do any of those, and I haven't heard any examples. The first time I heard an example of one is a white paper. It's the first time I've heard an example of someone describing a project. Yeah,
that's what I would consider it. We've had people propose them, but they went back to the easier thing, which was writing a paper.
Yeah, some of the projects can take a long, long time.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so that's how I consider the dissertation to go. So it's a big thing. It's a huge undertaking. It's hard. It's doable. And I think it'll get you ready to like get them out the door and have that on your credentials. And I would love to have some of you guys have great enough projects this summer that we can go back and say like, I want to put in for this conference with it. And I'll be like, sure, let's write it up. Let's get it through IRB and we'll get it taken care of. IRB is Institutional Research Review Board. And Bob and I are like this. I send things to him all the time. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. So I think I have 3 projects right now I'm collecting data on. One I'm collecting data on this summer. One that we collected data on the last 2 summers in conjunction with Penn State. So I've got 5 projects kind of rolling right now that I'm trying to like wrap up and out the door. So you guys will be writing this summer. I'll be writing this summer. We'll all be in like the throes of it together. And as I say on the class website, like the cognitive apprenticeship model is really the way that I think. I consider myself a learning scientist, which means I really look at how people learn and how that affects what they're doing and how they're doing it, how the culture around them influences that. So I'm bringing you along with me as like my little mentees, my little buddies, and I'm going to teach you how to do qualitative research the best way that I know how, which is kind of like dragging you through it. So if you like that analogy for the summer, think of it as like, I've got your heel hooked on the horse and we're going. So that's kind of, maybe I should make it nicer sounding, but I'll be honest. Yeah. All right. Any questions that you have for me? Any questions about the class? And I'm not making you work tonight, except to stay awake while you're listening to me.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So I'm looking at the table within the syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to understand what your expectation is for the next time we get together. What is it I see a position statement on here. Am I just reading about it or am I providing one?
By the time I see you guys the next time, now here's the deal. I really know, like from doing this class twice, that if I gave you an assignment for week 1, like when I meet with you in the beginning of week 2, you didn't do the week 2 stuff yet. You're only done with the week 1. So we're almost always a week behind on those because it doesn't do me any good to talk about it if you haven't actually gotten a chance to do it yet.
Thank you. Thank you. That's been killing me in other classes. I'm like, why would you have this scheduled like this?
Wait, don't change the logic on us now. We got used to the way it was.
Well, just keep working on that and you'll always be a week ahead.
Pass that around to the other ones.
I'm the baby in the department, even though I'm older than like 3 of them. So, yeah, they don't. They listen to me when they need to listen to me. I make sure that they do. But yeah, no, here's what happened.
Yeah, and then they ask us questions about the reading that we haven't gotten to yet.
Yes, the first time I did it, the first time I taught this class, I was like, okay, we're gonna have this great discussion, and they're like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read it yet. I didn't have a chance to read it yet. The week just started today, and I said, okay, so everybody else just kind of bring them along, and then they're all like. So then I was like, okay, so really we're a week behind. And they're like, yeah, we do all of our work on the weekend, so we don't have time to get to week 2 yet. Okay, that's a game changer. So now we're revising the entire class. So that was the first time I taught it with cohort 1. So that's my expectation is like the stuff that you do in week 1, we're probably going to talk about in the class on week 2, and we'll be almost always a week behind on it. The stuff that I have listed in there, a lot of times there's activities that you're going to be doing. I'm going to preview the activities for you. I'm going to have you talking about how, like one of the weeks we talk about research questions. And so like the class meeting after the research question one, we'll be talking about research questions. I'll expect you to come into class and be like, so these are what I think my research questions are. And we're going to say, huh, Bob, that is not a qualitative research question. That's a quantitative research question. And by the way, Bob is not Robert. Bob is going to be the generic person that I use for the name from now on for all examples. How's that? All right. So you'll come in and I'll say, all right, Bob, so those are your research questions, okay? Is that a yes, no question? And you'll say, well, yeah. And I'll be like, okay, that's not a qualitative research question. We need to know why or what or how. How can you change that question? And then we'll talk about research questions in comparison to like the methods that you might think you want to be using. And I will tell you, I apologize. This is lickety split through some things that I could spend an entire semester on. So we're trading off on the fact that you get the skills to work with, and I'll give you like the ethnography and grounded theory and phenomenology and all of those kind of things, case study. We'll do the best we can with that. But you can figure that out with your advisor as you're starting to write up your research questions and how they fit. I'm really concentrating on you need these skills to be able to do the research because you don't get another qualitative methods class. Okay? So kind of like if you were waiting tables and I could give you 6 weeks of sitting there and reading the menu and learning all the its and bits about it, or I could throw you out on the floor and have you working while you learn it on the go. You're learning it on the go. So that's my thought process on it. Okay. And I know I talk really fast, so just tell me to slow down if you can't understand me. I apologize. All right. Any other questions? And I'll send out announcements before we have class that remind you that we have class, that here are the kind of a couple things to be thinking about. And if you have things that are due, then like due on Sunday night, expect that we'll probably talk about those or use that somehow in the discussion that we have on Monday. Okay, and that'll kind of like put the closing parenthesis on it, and then you start off on your next week.
Okay, so all I got from that was read chapters 1 through 3 before next week.
Yes, read chapters 1 through 3. Read chapters 1 through 3.
I just need that near-term objective, okay?
Yeah, and you're going to be writing your position statement. Because on the syllabus, I have it listed as I think your deliverable for week 1 is position statement, which is basically you read about like positivism, and you're going to read about the interpretive ways that you think through things. Like, are you a social justice kind of person? Are you constructivist? And you're going to kind of just write a page or two how that goes. And I have directions in there. If you have any questions, email me, text me, whatever, and I'll get back to you on it and clarify. So yeah, position statement on Sunday, due, and then on Monday we'll talk a little bit about that, kind of frame out the different ways that that works, and move on to the next stuff. And I'm going to try not to talk the whole time next time, just so you know. All right, any questions yet? Alrighty. I'm excited to have this class go this summer, and I will talk to you guys next week.
Okay, see you, Bob.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And if anybody needs anything, you can hang on and I can talk after, but I'll turn off the recorder. Maybe if I can find it.